Hey there, cats and kitties. I'm the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 12 of the anime series Masamune-kun's Revenge. For all intents and purposes, the season 1 finale. Let me emphasize that point. Season 1 finale. What a load of ass. I'm just saying, if you followed any of my coverage talking about this series, my last episode discussion video for episode 11, I said, I hope we get a sense of closure. I don't want to have to see this drawn out, have to watch a whole second season to see where this is going to go. I hope for a sense of closure. I hope they wrap everything up. I don't want to have to deal with more of this. And that's exactly what we have to do. But I'll tell you the truth, by the end of this episode, I actually found myself thinking, well, maybe I'll backpedal on that a little bit. Depending on how long I have to wait for a season 2, if I don't have to wait that long, I might actually see picking up with the story again. I might be interested to see what happens with these characters, even as exacerbated as I was that, no closure at all. It's still ongoing. Makabe is still about getting revenge on Aki because he's the biggest dumbass on the planet. Maybe I'll come back to it. It depends. I don't want to have to wait forever and a day. If it takes a couple of seasons for this to come back around, F it. I'm done. I don't think I'll get back into it. If I maybe have to wait only one season, then season 2 begins, or if there's an announcement that season 2 will begin very shortly in the spring season, I don't know. I might actually dip back into it and continue covering it, depending. It all depends. But this really broke my last nerve. I mean, even though I enjoyed the episode, I was kind of cringing through some of it. It answered one of my speculations, a pseudo-prediction I made that, going by the OP, of course, Makabe would end up on the stage during Class A's, Aki's classes, putting on, the Snow White play and everything like that. And in doing so, did we find that his own classes, play was exempt. They couldn't put it on. Everything fell to the floor, fell to pieces along those lines. And he is still sick as a dog. I thought he would get on that stage and everything would go pitch perfect. But he really needs prompting. I mean, he face plants as soon as he gets out on stage, and he's had to twist the arms of, the Mari chick in the clique that follows around Aragaki Aki and everything like that. And I thought I wanted to pound her in a smacker because she's screaming at Makabe, this was your plan all along. You wanted to dismantle our play and all this stuff. Shut the hell up, bitch. That's exactly what you were doing. You just did that episodes back. You had one of your bitches going and kidnapping him and holding him hostage. And you have the gall to now say, you're trying to ruin our play? Shut the hell up. Pot calling the kettle black much? It's exactly the same thing you did. And this time, Makabe had no awareness of it. He's not any part of it. It was Koiwai. Nobody seems to know that. I really legitimately thought Makabe had no idea where Gasou would be held. I was even describing it as I'm watching it to my sister who was sitting next to me in the living room. And she's like, so he doesn't know where he is? And I'm like, well, he's being a real dumbass. There's only one place he probably could be on school grounds and no one would know where to look. And that's where Aki always goes to have her lunch, her little clandestine luncheons that Koiwai brings her all the food and all the carbs in all the time. And I'm like, how does he not immediately think of this place? Well, I guess it's because he was so sick. He's dealing with his sickness. He realizes he can't get there in time, even if he tried, because he'd probably pass out at any moment. So he enlists Neko and I forget, I think Kojiro or somebody goes with her to find Gasou at the last second. And by that point, though, he is already up on stage. He's already approached Mari again and said, look, I don't want to ruin your play. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to go on in place of Gasou. And she's reluctant, but everyone really is reluctant. Even the dwarves, one of which is Koiwai. And I love it when he loses his crap, thinking, I got to find the master. I got to find Koiwai and find out where Gasou is. But she's on stage, That actually did make me laugh. And it was really unexpected, his being on stage. From the face planting to having Koiwai and all the other dwarves, if you will, having to prompt him and hold him up and everything like that. And then when finally he gets to the coffin side where Aki is laying, and she's like, come on already, her inner monologue. It's not so much that he grabbed onto her and really, got himself into a succulent kiss with her, I think. I think it was much more like he kind of fainted, into her lips, if you will. Because he lifts her head up, and then the longest kiss you've ever seen either of these characters experience, especially together, plays out, and she's actually starting to punch him to get away from. I think at that point he's unconscious, and that made me laugh as well, because the whole situation, it could have gone very cliche and very like almost pitch perfect. He could have walked out on stage, been all masculine, been the manly prince who's here to save the day, and he could have very much been saving the day not only in the play, but as the student Makabe saving the play that they're putting on, not only within the story as the prince, I'm saying. And it went sort of counterproductive to that, but it made it that much more intriguing and entertaining. It wasn't in any way cliche. He passes out in her arms. She punches him, sends him flying halfway across the freaking stage. And then everyone's like, oh, and Snow White lived happily ever after with the 7 dwarfs. Oh, and the prince, who's now laying unconscious and everything. And so I was really kind of surprised that was all wrapped up before even like the halfway point of the episode. I'm like, okay, what the hell else could there be? Maybe I'm going to get the closure I want because there's enough time. Maybe characters are going to come clean. Maybe, Aki is going to have been reminded of him with that kiss or something like that. That'll jog her memory, and maybe it'll play out where she approaches him, albeit reluctantly, but apologetically, and this will, make amends between them, and the show will end happily with them continuing their lives, not necessarily getting together, but continuing their lives, being aware now who they are to each other, and maybe they're going to be more open to learning about each other as they move on. It would have been a nice, happy way to wrap it all up and not have to draw this out for another season. But in fact, we go to karaoke time. Everyone has to sing. You got the OP, the end song in there, some other music and everything, and everyone's taking turns, and the challenge basically continues, is what it is. They got screwed out of challenging, both of their classes, putting on this particular play, so everyone gets together to sing karaoke and have a karaoke challenge. And I was actually surprised. Most of them sing pretty damn good. My favorite part of that whole affair was, of course, when Makabe has to exit the room, and some of the, Aki's clique are realizing he's freaked out. He doesn't want to have to sing. And I'm like, watch him pull it out of his socks that he's actually a good singer. Watch him be able to lay waste, to everybody with this really powerhouse vocalist work and everything. And, well, he did lay waste. But not the way I was assuming. He is the worst singer on the planet. But when he comes back into the room, before it's his turn, you have Neko and Aki. She picks a duet song, one that apparently Aki really loves, and so they sing together. And that was really the highlight of the episode. If not the way the Snow White play played out, I thought it was awesome that they kiss and everything like that, and it didn't go quite too, cliche, as I say. It was kind of unexpected the way that all played out. It was really a high point of the episode to see Neko and Aki singing together, to hear them singing together. They sang beautifully. I loved it. It was instantly my favorite part of the episode. And then, as I say, it's Makabe's turn. And as soon as he picks up the mic and is about to sing, he takes in a breath, and they cut to a phone ringing. I guess it's like the business manager of the karaoke bar. It's going, why? And she's like pleading. It's like, if you call back to the Thundercats where they were like hit with something that was knocking them out, and you'd have Lion-O going, must get away, like Koi Wai's like, please send help. The whole room is like passing out, covering their ears. Makabe is the worst singer on, in all of humanity, apparently, in that moment. And that did get a chuckle out of me. And then, of course, the aftermath, you have this nice pseudo-sweet moment between Aki and Makabe, sitting on a bench. Everyone has left. They've taken a reprieve from the worst sound they've ever heard in their lives. But he's going to protect her because Koi Wai had to go get her food and everything like that. The singing, dropped her calories or whatever, so she needs more intake of food. And here I thought, well, maybe this is what I've been waiting for. Maybe this is where Aki will confess that she's been reminded of and remembers Makabe as the Masamune from old and everything like that. Gasso was just gone as well, and like there was no longer any interference, and it seemed as though it was kind of starting to angle that way. I thought when she's like, well, you know, remembering the time past when you helped me and all this kind of stuff, and what can I do to make up for it to you, to say thanks or whatever like that. And he says, well, how about a kiss? And I'm like, I'm like, okay, maybe this is where she's going to kiss him again, and it's going to solidify her suspicion from when he kissed her on the stage. Maybe that was what started the ball rolling, that she's starting to recognize Makabe, Masamune-kun, same guy, all this kind of stuff. And this second kiss, if it plays out the way he expects it will, and she starts sliding over to him and everything, she reluctantly says, okay, I'll go along with that. And I'm like, maybe this is it. Maybe this is where the other leg finally drops. You know, even though it's so close to the end, I could be satisfied at least knowing there's recognition, at least knowing that she knows this is the boy of old, you know, because there's that whole part during the play when she's saying like, oh, the prince never comes. She finds flowers, and whomever she was waiting for, whether that was Gasso or more likely, you know, Makabe as Masamune-kun of old, she felt betrayed. She felt like he didn't show up for whatever reason and was betraying her, leaving her, you know, kicking her to the dirt, whatever it was. And so she's kind of flipped the tables. And I wondered if there might have been some recognition to at least end the series that way, that she knows who this is, and you can kind of play in your own mind how it's going to play out. You know, now that she knows, maybe they end up together. Maybe they don't, whatever like that. We don't even get that. You know, like, he is waiting expectantly. She's like, close your eyes. He's got his lips all puckered. The next thing you know, Koiwai apparently just gets back in time so that Aki can pull out this snack, this treat, I don't know what the hell it was, and jam it right in his puss face. And then she's standing there with Koiwai, and they're laughing about it, and ha ha ha, you know, oh, and it's a good treat, isn't it? He's like, oh, that's sweet, you know, like, I almost wonder, yet again, like, I'm still playing back on, is there going to be recognition? Does she know who he is? Because she seems very delighted by the fact that he enjoys the sweetness of this food. Now, is that just because this happens to be a favorite snack of hers? Or was it because, you know, she knows he was once a fatty and, you know, she liked him while he was that way, and now she feels like there's some comeuppance that she can turn him back into that? I don't know. I think I'm reading way too much into it, hoping way too much for it to actually align to my thoughts. Again, none of that. None of that at all. You know, she goes walking off. Koiwai's like, oh, you never take chances. You never take the opportunity right when it's laid before you. She's saying this to Makabe, that, you know, Makabe had every opportunity right in the here and now to crush Aki, and that's because I guess they're alluding to the fact that she's actually warming to him now. She's actually confronted that she likes him, whether she knows that he's Masamune-kun of old or not, which is likely not the case. We're going to have a whole effing season 2. They're probably going to string it along. They're going to, you know, as soon as season 2 begins, it's back to square one. She doesn't know who he is. It's just Makabe, blah, 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 blah. Maybe more crap with Gasso. I don't know. And you know, he just renews his vow. The end of this episode, the end of this season, he's just internally renewed his vow to get back at Aki still. Face palm, and it's just like, God damn it. I don't want to have to sit through a whole nother season of this. But it's as I said at the start of the video, there is part of me that's kind of backpedaling and thinking if I don't have to wait too long for it, maybe I'll dig into it. Maybe I'll continue on with it. Maybe I'll be curious enough and still liking these characters enough. If they don't string it along for months and months, you know, like, as long as it's fresh in my mind, I could still see continuing on with it. If I find out, coinciding with this finale airing, that, hey, in 2 weeks or a week, you know, whatever it is, it'll be back, I'd probably still continue with it. I'd want to see where it's going. But if I have to wait a long time, and I'm going to be forgetful of everything that happened and all the characters and everything like that, because there's going to be a whole slew of other new anime I'm going to get into, and having to, you know, build the remembrances of all the things that are going on and all the new characters and everything like that. If I have to wait too long, this series hasn't made as strong an impression on me as some other series. You know, this is kind of like just an average series that I might watch a given season, and but it had enough going on that I felt satisfied talking about it, doing videos, covering it. Some of it was utter madness and absurdity. Some of it was actually pretty intriguing, and there were some twists and turns. And some of it was cliche, but I mean, by the end, it wasn't so much cliche as it was just disappointing that there is no finality, there is no closure, that it is going to be ongoing, drawn on and on and on. And I don't even know if the manga, the source material, whatever it is ongoing. Presumably so. I think I heard that, you know, somebody said that it's still ongoing when Gasso first made his appearance in the show, and you know, he's still a part of the manga, something like that. I'm not going to read the manga. I don't have any interest in it. I don't like doing that. I want to just watch the anime for what the anime is. And the anime was enjoyable. It just wasn't one that really struck a chord in me to really make me, in all likelihood, remember all the details and ins and outs, you know, for a second season if we have to wait too long for it. Whereas other shows like Attack on Titan, Shingeki no Bahamut, Virgin Soul, they are following on from shows that really did make a lasting impression on me, and I really did thoroughly enjoy it, and was less than average. It was something more stellar for each of those, you know, former seasons of those shows. This was not quite that. So yeah, if I have to wait for too long for a season 2, I'm probably done. It'll depend on how I'm feeling at the time, but in all likelihood, if I have to wait a season or 2, I'll probably not come back to it, or maybe I'll watch it. It all depends, without necessarily reviewing it. But if I don't have to wait too long, I'll continue it. I will. It's really all I can say. You know? Mildly disappointing. Well, a little more than mildly disappointing, quite frankly, that we didn't get the closure here, that the story is ongoing. If we get a season 2, it damn well better end the story, though. I'll leave it there. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of the finale of Season 1 of you know, Masamune-kun's Revenge. If you were disappointed that there wasn't closure, if you didn't ever expect there would be, love it or hate it, anything goes in the comments below. Just love having that conversation. Otherwise, it'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well. I'll catch you all later. Peace.